Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. Or if it's your first time here, welcome. Hope you're all having a fantastic Friday or whatever day it is for you right now. And we are back. So, yeah, it is the weekend stream. It is of the devil. And let's get back into it real quick here because I am itty bitty bit late. So, yeah, last stream. We got confirmation that Sosuke Ikaria is indeed a genetic heir to the Blue Blood gang, but he is currently so wrapped up in this brainwashing that he was put through that he has this honor code to live up to the Ikarias, like feeling like he owes them. When the reality is that Daisuke, the father, doesn't even really. Secretly, he doesn't even actually care. He doesn't even think of Sosuke as his son. He thinks of him as a long-term bargaining chip. Or just a tool in general. So he demanded that we not use his blue blood heritage as a part of our defense of him, trying to get him freed from all these charges. And before we discovered all these things about him, we were trying to establish a type of defense that somebody else had to have killed those people. Now, we know that Morgan is the killer of 4 of them, but we don't know exactly what happened to Officer Chopin. So, subsequently, we're still trying to figure out how to get him lesser charges. So, here we go. Let's get back into it. Oh my gosh. That's better. Okay. All right. Oh, and I remember the very last thing that happened before we left is that Reyes got drunk as fuck and then forced her way into Morgan's apartment. And Morgan briefly had the thought of murdering her, but then Reyes called in immediately. So now Morgan can't even. That's not something she could even conceive of doing. It's simply not possible now. But okay. Wait, this is the best part of the vid, where he breaks down the horsepower. For years, they all abided by this gentleman's agreement where their engines would have horsepower capped at 270 or so, to avoid this, arms race of engineering in a country with such a huge street racing scene. Right. But the crazy part is, it was only ever on paper. They were building and selling cars with 300 plus horsepower. And they all just listed the horsepower as 270 domestically. Yeah. And God, everyone knew it. I mean, they were just selling the same car with the same engine, with the same goddamn torque rating in 2 different countries, and they were saying, oh, I don't know, I think it's only 276. That's crazy. Morgan is just entertaining the drunk cop. I was born in the wrong generation. I'll die without ever knowing what gasoline smells like. Gasoline is odorless. No. What? It's odorless. They added a strong smell during refinement so that leaks could be noticeable. Oh! Oh, Morgan actually does know about cars, sort of, or she knows about gasoline specifically. Wonder why. Couldn't possibly be because she herself has used gasoline to kill people, is it? That's natural gas, you dummy. Oh. Scared me for a second. Jeez. You're gonna try and ruin something for me that I never even had a chance of experiencing. You better get it right. There's another difference between gas and gasoline. So, you knew Chopin? So you knew Chopin? God. We dated, okay? Happy? Okay, well, this is the type of shit that somebody who is drunk would randomly blurt out. This is definitely the type of thing that somebody would blurt out. Drunk. I wouldn't have guessed that. For how long? Once. Which is not a lot. Duh, I know. It was such a shitty date. Wore his uniform like I was supposed to salute. And God, he was cheap. I said, "What do you tip the bartender?" And he got all confused. He has handed me 2 cans. Why would I tip? Because you tip the goddamn bartender, man. That's why. I always tell when someone grew up with money. Okay, this is definitely the United States, because tipping culture in other parts of the world is, very scant. Like, it happens sometimes, but not often. But in the United States, you are expected to tip, period. You know. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be surprised that tipping culture was continue to be this severe in the United States, you know, for another 60 years. Like, I have no reason to think that it would change. So yeah, I think we have definitely narrowed down the location of this game to somewhere in California, in the United States, because that would explain all the Asian gangs, that explain all the talk about, like, the Blue Bloods are like are like from like a ship, they're like a shipping mafia. So they came from the ocean, which makes sense with the Pacific Ocean and the gun laws and the fact that it is the people versus the defendant means that it can't be in the United Kingdom where it's the people versus the, or where it's the defendant versus the crown. So yeah, I think that, and we're in a really big ass city. So like, this is like somewhere in the coast of SoCal, is what I think. So one of the big ass cities of SoCal, you know. I can always tell when someone grew up with money. Maybe they just can't hide it. Maybe none of them ever learned the decency to try. Rockford's not so bad. I mean, it's obvious still, but the airhead part kind of offsets it. Yeah, that's... What do you mean? Emma comes from money? Guess even you can't tell a joke. Worst date I've ever been on. Waitress looked like she was gonna stab him. You'd think he was allergic to salt with all the nitpicking he did. And then he has the balls to tip 10%. That is bad. He's either... That's very strange. It's very strange, like, chauvinistic elitism, unless for some reason he literally is broke. But why would he be broke with, his parents being two, congressmen? Do his parents refuse to give him money? Or was he raised in such a way as to think he owes nothing to anybody else in the fucking world? Like, what's the implication here? Oh, what do you know? You probably haven't been on a date since the 60s. How old do you think I am? I was talking about the tip. What tip? Oh, the tip. Well, yeah, but still, do you even have a dating profile? Or do you just hang around funeral homes and castles and shit looking for other creatures of the night? I don't have a dating profile. You met Chopin through an app? Yeah, a dating app for cops. There's a dating app for cops? Yeah, just for cops. Just for all. Why is it called just for all if it's just for cops? It's a pun. Oh, it's a pun. Well, not really a pun. Wordplay. Play on words for justice for all. The cop catchphrase we say it all the time when we catch people. There's an app for everyone. Probably even lawyers with sun allergies. I don't think there's an app for me. Hang on, let me project a hologram of the world's smallest violin out of my eye socket. App suck anyway. This one matched, and this one I matched. She was terrible. Her teeth. She was trying to smile or some shit. She was all teeth. I think it was her first kiss. You remember your first? I don't know why everyone's always so concerned with firsts. The hell does that mean? Don't worry about it. I've never once given a second thought to anything you say, so get that straight. Wanted to slap the guy's dumb face at the end of that day, but then I didn't even recognize him. When Lone and I came in, he was face down. Whole floor, blood, just blood and paper. Couldn't turn him over, had to preserve the scene. Just had to leave him there. Sorry. Sorry? I'm not sorry, I'm angry. You seem to get angry a lot. You've been to anger engagement? You know what that's about? Managing anger? Keeping calm, not letting your emotions control you. I'm great at all of that. If you say so. I do say so. What I'm feeling most of the time? I'm a goddamn saint without calling my stay. I'm just too small. Little hole in the bottom of a big water tower. The bottom of a big water tower. Fills up faster than I'll ever drain. If I was big, I'd trample this whole city down long before my anger's gone. I'm too short to do anything. Didn't even seem like people from the hall. Just two people-shaped things, face down in blood. Sosuke and Chopin? They were both face down? What? Yeah. Because Rogers was cuffing Sosuke on the ground? Rogers, what a klutz. That guy couldn't cuff a cow. Beans and mamas and big pajamas burger of the night. Is that your dinner? Because that sounds pretty good. She drunk? Yeah, she's drunk as fuck. That's why she's in her. That's why she's here. Like, she was super drunk, and so she just like gave herself an excuse to go to Morgan's house or Morgan's apartment, and then she phoned in to all the other cops that she's off doing the she's tailing a non-threatening suspect or some shit, and they're like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. And so now she's just drunk, fucking talking to Morgan about nothing. No, I was watching Bob's Burgers and I couldn't remember the lyrics. Oh, I haven't watched that show. I don't watch a lot of TV. I like watch random shit on YouTube while I play video, or I listen to shit on YouTube while playing video games. So I don't know much about that show. A cow? I don't know, something that'd cuff easily. A dress shirt. Oh, what you want? A round of applause. Everyone clap for the world's greatest, It's my go-to-bed eating show? Okay, that makes sense. I have a problem where I'll go on YouTube while I'm trying to eat, and it's just endless garbage that I just, in my recs, that I just don't want to watch. But what's worse is that because I listen to so much shit playing games, that means a lot of the videos I get in my recs are, like, unwatchable. They're, like, all, they're all like second monitor content. They're all background content, so you can't just watch them while eating because there's nothing to look at, and it's like, oh, fuck my life. The ads ruin YouTube for me. My ad blocker is still working. Not on my phone, though. I don't even... My phone is... My god. It's a piece of shit. I need to replace my phone and this laptop before they fucking explode or something. Wordsmith. Just shut up. She could try and fuck Morgan. That'd be very funny. Probably not, though. Persuading her to remove her shoes and socks before tossing her up the stairs was the very upper limit of my patience. Making her go off the floor and onto the bed is up to her. I don't care. I can sleep on my couch. I could sleep in my chair if I had to. I can fall asleep in any position, actually. It's not actually worth bragging about, especially to myself. So now a homicide detective knows where I live. Guess the address is on the business card, downside of a home office. At least it's fun to imagine how sick she'll be tomorrow. Can't remember the last time I got that drunk, thankfully. Can't remember a time I got that mad. Last time I cried. Screw this. Introspection's a scam. I'm not nearly as so flush that I can afford to waste time on it. Sure thing, Morgan. That's totally not copium for the murderer. Oh god, stop smiling like that. Yes, you found a teacher's missing key card. No, you're not Sherlock Holmes, or whoever his lawyer was. Oh, I'm sure you're gonna be the most popular kid in the school overnight. Mine works in my browser. I also need a new phone. A couple weeks ago, I discovered glue holding the back on has denatured after the screen came unplugged when I dropped it. Bro, like, my phone right now is, like, it's starting to skeletonize. Because, like, the fucking phone cover I have on it is, like, the plastic is just falling apart and, like, pieces of it are falling off. So, like, literally any day now, the whole thing is just gonna fall off and it's gonna be a naked phone again. And I'm just not bothering because it's like, why? Maybe I should just get a new phone if it's like a 7-year-old phone. Like, Jesus. Oh, I'm sure you're gonna be the most popular kid in school overnight now. Well, I wasn't being that sarcastic. You better hope it's somewhat true. Deadline for your little club sign-up period is next week, isn't it? Actually, you'll need to find 4 members. I'm gonna be out that day. Family thing. What a face. You show everyone puppy dog eyes that pathetic? Look, if you're gonna be a lawyer, you need to get better at reading fine print. See, you need 5 members to found a club, but if you have at least 2 students present at the qualification, you can get an extension. I mean, even you can get 1 person to join, right? Just use that winning personality of yours. It's a family thing. I can't say no. Nothing. I didn't say anything. 11:31 a.m., August 16th, 2086. I don't want to get rid of it because it has an aux port and micro SD slot. If I could find one at least with an SD slot, I might consider it. I don't technically know what those are. Aux port and a micro SD slot. I'm not actually tech literate. I'm a tech caveman. I have device. I use it. I know nothing about it or its inner workings. State building, floor 48. They must have waved me down over 5 times. I've been in private banks with less active security than this. Were they private banks that had recently had a shooting? No. Oh hey, his eye is healed. Headphone jack and expandable storage that doesn't rely on cloud storage. Oh yeah. My brother has told me before that his phone can't plug into his headphones, and I'm like, what? Is that a thing that they're removing from smartphones now? Like, why? Like, surely that's, like, why would they be doing that? like, huh? Don't people want to plug their fucking headphones in pretty commonly? Then the comparison seems flawed. Armed guards in the halls, drones outside the windows, androids standing firm in the streets, triple spectrum scans at every entrance. They really rolled out the red carpet for you this time. So if they were this concerned, why didn't they just move the trial outside of the city? The district attorney said as much, but the city council overrode them. The district attorney? You mean Miss Rockford? Miss Rockford's boss. Word of the attack yesterday is already trickling out. They can't afford to delay, or it'll look like they've been successfully intimidated. There's such a thing as overcompensating. Not on the stage of security theater. Were you able to look over the DNA analysis that Cyanus completed, Adenine? They're reporting the bindings? Yeah. Yeah, they removed them like 6 years ago. They say it's to save space and waterproof them, which it does, but really it's to make you buy big brands, $200 Bluetooth earbuds, and monthly cloud storage fees. Wow, that's disgusting. That makes me want to never buy a phone that's new ever again. That makes me oddly covetous of the fact that I have a phone that's like 7 years old and I can plug my headphones into it. Wow, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to fucking replace my phone. If that's, like, a thing that it is now. Like, what? Like, that's not affordable in any capacity whatsoever. What the fuck? Wow. Cut bindings. Hardy cloth bindings found inside the room where Sosuke was held, stiff with dried blood and clearly cut with something sharp. A summary of forensic DNA analysis conducted by Cyanus follows below. Sweat matches the DNA of subject A, Ikaria Sosuke. Skin matches the DNA of subject A, Ikaria Sosuke. Blood matches the DNA of subject A, Ikaria Sosuke, and subject E, Smiles, Heaven Miller. Heaven's Smiles. No wonder he decided to give himself a nickname. Asus used to make a gaming phone for like $900 that was super powerful and had aux and SD slots, but they stopped making anything that doesn't get them that AI data center money. No, it's fine to rant. I'm just kind of annoyed to even hear this. Like, I've heard a lot of bullshit about tech in the past, like, 5 years, like, things deteriorating. I didn't know it was so fucking bad, though, that you can't even plug your fucking headphones into your phone anymore. Like, when my, like, at one point, I noticed that my brother will listen to his phone and not use headphones. And, like, literally, like a week or two ago, I asked him, why the fuck do you not put on headphones while listening to your phone? Like, and he was like, oh, I don't think I could plug it in. And I was like, what? And I thought that was just, like, unusual, not normal. They're reporting the bindings? Yeah. Gave me a lot to think about on the ride over. You're looking much better. I don't feel better. They gave me some sort of injection last night. I woke up in much more pain, but they still insisted on taking off all my bandages. Some sort of injection? Sosuke consented to intravenous injection of a recovery accelerant at 9:33 p.m. last night. They make adapters for your charging port, but then you can't charge it while you listen. Oh, they have stim packs like in Fallout? Yeah, like a recovery accelerant. I hope they explain this, because otherwise this might throw a big wrench into the sci-fi, in the airtight sci-fi they've been having going in this story. You consented without knowing what it was? I nodded. Thought it would help me sleep. That interrogation room floor isn't exactly ideal for rest. Spoiled brat. This is the same guy who was confidently telling me he was fine with going to jail? What about you, Adonai? Were you able to get any rest? I slept like a rock. Eventually. Didn't even wake up when a certain unwelcome guest stumbled out the door early in the morning, thank God. But it was an accelerant, huh? I thought there was something familiar about this discomfort. They gave it to us back in the military on occasion. You heal up faster, but it still takes the same toll overall. Explains why I feel like all my bruises are fresh. Why'd they wait until now to start giving Sosuke medical attention, though? Emma must have realized it was getting a bit silly, trying to accuse you of murdering 5 people when you looked like you had been thrown through a windshield. Yeah, you kind of hurt your case, Sosuke, by consenting to healing up, but of course he didn't actually know. Don't worry, Sosuke. You're still handsome, even without the rugged edge that your injuries provide. Oh. Hearing that doesn't make me happy, you know. Why are you blushing? It's not like you're spotless. You'll have a mark under your left eye. No, I've had that since birth. Oh. I was told once that it's charming. Why'd you bring it up? Is it not charming? How is this guy like a fucking an assassin? My God. Either Daisuke like spoiled him a lot more than we know and cares about him a lot more than we know, or the indoctrination is like so bad that he's, even despite being an assassin, he still has sort of this high-minded mentality of, oh, I am a part of the family sort of deal. But whatever. So needy. Thank you for clarifying that for the court, Detective. That was the same story he told me yesterday down in the lower wards. He and Reyes were the second on scene, so they focused on clearing the lower floors before meeting with Rogers. Good to have it on record so I can look it over. Detective London testified that he and Detective Reyes as the second pair of officers on scene. Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so we focused on securing the area. Sunshine and I cleared the first floor. All the rooms were empty, but one was unlocked. As for the next item on the docket, calling the defendant to testify... Seems like it's gonna be a nothing burger. Not entirely, Your Honor. My client waives his right to decline. Does he now? Wow. Sosuke Ikaria. I'm a head of personnel security at the Ikaria Financial Group. Oh my god, the judge is so cute. LBG, have you not seen the other streams of this game? She's like 400 pounds and 9 feet tall. And the IFG, that's a family-run small business, mom-and-pop operation, I take it? Family-run. Well, Mr. Ikaria, I feel like the court already has a strong understanding of the circumstances you found yourself in. How you were captured and tortured by these 4 known criminal associates, all of whom are now dead. How were you found standing over the body of Officer Chopin? I never saw her take her glasses off, though, or pulling her knees up pose. Oh, yeah, no, she's done that occasionally, not commonly, though. I suppose all anyone can ask is, what do you have to say for yourself? I'm usually playing games too. Oh, yeah, that makes sense, that you're just listening. I assume that for most people, streaming has got to be like a second monitor content thing, right? Surely. I can only tell you what I remember. Even if that's mostly pain. How about after the pain? How does it end? I woke up to the feeling of my blood drying on my skin. Familiar sensation for a head of personnel security, I'd assume? Objection! I can answer. It was a novel experience. I pulled off my blindfold and felt like I'd stepped into the desert. White flaring in my eyes, heart thumping in my temple. But I realized that there's a gun in my waistband. The indicator showed it was spent. Didn't know what to make of it. Does this gun look familiar to you, Mr. Icaria? Yes, that's the same gun. Let the record show the witnesses admitted to wielding the same Mag US used to kill 2 of the victims. I'd assume. I guess it also depends on the game and mood too. Like right now, I'm locked in, but usually I'm on the game. Speaking of locked in, I've farmed motes, jade motes. I need to get to 450. I need to get to 450 to get the rest of Jade's pieces. But I'm probably not going to do that after the stream. I'm probably going to spam Lith Fishers so that I can get a bunch of shit to sell to the trader. Jade's pretty good. I am like... The Jade-like Eximus has been this threatening monster for all, like, 400 hours I've played the fucking game. So, like... I want to fucking finally fire the green laser myself. Oh, also, like, I've been sort of maining Mesa recently because she has active damage reduction. I find that when things get even a little bit hard when I'm playing Warframe, it's just like, I have this tendency to slip back to Rhino just for the overguard, but like, that tendency started pissing me off because I felt like I was playing Rhino way too much. Now I'm playing Mesa a lot, though, because she has so much damage reduction with her number 3. There's an augment for Jade that makes the Jade Light better. Her actual Jade Light isn't as damaging. Ugh. Well, then I'll have to get that augment somehow. I presume I probably have to switch my Syndicate pledge though to get those mods, because I'm in big with Red Veil and Steel Meridian right now. Ain't seen no Jade augments in their inventories. Okay. Is this okay? I stumbled forward towards the door, and past it the whole room seemed red. And after that, you don't remember? Anything else you'd like to say to the court, Mr. Icaria, before we finish? There's one more thing I recall. I remember holding my sword. So he admits it? The crowd. No. You remember holding your sword. I'd trade for it. It's not worth the switch, to be honest. Oh, no, I mean, I want to switch my pledges eventually anyway to get all the items from all the syndicates. So, like, I don't mind putting in that grind eventually. I hope I can get a fucking platinum discount coupon soon in my my daily tribute, because I have stuff sitting in the fucking kiln. Huh? Oh, no, I just have stuff in my... I just have, like a warframe and a weapon or two in my foundry. You need to get more slots. I just have goons to trade with. Well, I don't mind doing the... You doing the weekly stuff? Well, yeah. You remember holding your sword. Oof, that ain't good. That's very interesting of you to say, Mr. Ikaria. It was on the ground, and it's important to me. So I bent over and picked it up. Do you recall the next thing you did with that sword, Mr. Ikaria? No. The next thing I know, I am being transported and read my rights. I see. You ever want to farm prime parts to sell for platinum? You know where to find me? I mean, I sell my prime parts for ducats. Like, that's what I want. Ditto for the farming. I mean, I appreciate it, but like, I'm gonna be I have like 30 lith relics to just play. Like what I do is I'll just play Frost on defense or excavation on a lith fisher and just go to like wave 30 or some shit. Maybe not that high. Maybe like 21, like wave 21 or something. What is that? Like that's 7 relics a run. Rivens sell well too if you're not using them. I have literally not even delved into Rivens, and I've barely delved into Arcanes, and that's only because I'm getting a bunch of Arcanes from farming for Jade. So the result is that... I vaguely understand. Like, I have a shitload of Riven shards, and I have 2 unused rifle Rivens, and I don't know what they do, and I don't technically care at the moment. I'll probably ask my brother how they work at some point, and then I'll do something about it, but at the moment I haven't done shit about it. I see. Your Honor, do you feel we need to continue? The questioning? The trial? Ouch! Ready to begin cross-examination at any time, Your Honor. If you insist. Round 1, fight! I hardly ever touch them myself, so I just have a huge stockpile. Too long didn't read. They're just mods, the random mix of stats. Oh, okay. So, like, do you just do a thing that rolls your Riven? And like, maybe it'll just be a good mod or something? I don't know. I don't know how it works. I've never even really traded with other people. I just don't like acknowledging the existence of other players in the game. Surely we're past round 1 by now. Cut by names. Yoru. Magus. I know this is save scummy, but... You do a task to unlock it, then can reroll stats using Kuva. Oh, that's a problem. I don't have... Like, I have some Kuva I got from Folly's Hunt. Because, like, if you traded in some Atramentum, you could get a shitload of Kuva. I think you could still do that. They didn't they removed Operation Atramentum. They didn't remove Folly's Hunt, though. So I guess Folly's Hunt is just like a Kuva farm that anyone can go to now. You buy Kuva from various factions. Yes, I noticed that the Steadfasters also have Kuva, yeah. They have a challenge. Do the challenge, get random stats on a mod for a random gun. It might be a gun you have, might not. Oh, That's intriguing. So does that mean there's, like, no point in, like, not doing it or something? Like, is there any point in not opening up Rivens every time you find them? I should be focusing on the fucking video game in front of me. I woke up in that room blindfolded and in pain. Managed to untie my bindings and stumble forward. No. No, you didn't. No. They're cut. Wanna bet? Sosuke couldn't have untied his way out of his bindings. Not when they were very clearly cut by something sharp. Objecting to a statement from your own client now? What do you mean, Morgan? These pieces of cloth were recovered from the room you were held, Sosuke, and they've very clearly been cut. You didn't struggle your way out, you cut your way out. Yes, now that you mention it, that's right. But if I cut myself out first... Your Honor, the people ask that the defense do their testimony coaching before the trial begins from now on. As it stands, this has been a colossal waste of time. There's 15 total ribbon slots? So do you just, like, sell the ribbons you don't like? Yeah, I mean, this detail probably isn't important, right? It's very important, Your Honor. If he used the blade to cut himself free from his bindings, that means Sosuke couldn't have gotten free until someone handed him a blade. Or fused them to try and get a different one. Oh, okay. I see. I vaguely see. Probably not going to do anything with my 2 ribbons, though. I'm probably going to just hopefully get, like, an endless mission farm so I can get a bunch of ducats. Because there's 3 new weapons in the Orican dealer right now, or the Void Trader. Meaning that the people's theory of a daring escape mid-interrogation is doing just fine. Thank you for asking. None of us in the court here today seriously believe this man or his memory can be taken as the truth. Then forget him and just look at the bindings. They're hard physical evidence and they have to have been cut. By something sharp. What do we know that fits that description? You think it was Yoru? His captors kept him bound in that room most of the night, then cut him from his bindings with the sword to bring him into the main room for questioning, where he turned the tables on them before slaughtering them all. Badass! Well, Counselor, are we done here? Could the katana have been used to cut those bindings? Look at the actual bindings themselves. I'm gonna raise. Of course it wasn't the sword that cut those bindings. What do you mean? The problem lies with the DNA. Your Honor, if we could please draw the court's attention to the forensic analysis of the bindings. You'll notice. Your client's blood, obviously. Yes, obviously. But upon closer inspection, you'll also see that blood from Miller was found as well. The poncho guy? Who was stabbed in the throat, as the court may recall. By your client's sword, as it is still no doubt still fresh in the jury's memory. Well, how can that be, Your Honor? What do you mean? Is it not sharp enough? What a piece of... How can Miller's blood have ended up on the bindings that kept my client from leaving the room in which he was held? Unless Miller was killed before my client was ever cut free. Ah, that makes sense. That's kind of a big deal, isn't it? I thought so, at least. She's lying. That's not possible. You want to know what's fucking insane? The whole stock price thing they say during these tense moments where you see, like, these stock price things happen. This is absolutely going to happen in the future. In fact, it's probably happening literally today. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but CNN, the news station, partnered with a fucking market speculation website, aka like a gambling site, a betting website. I have and already right now, this betting website is constantly going up and down based purely on random world events. So one day, it is going to be completely ordinary that if a court case is televised, people are going to make bets on it very commonly, and it's going to possibly affect the stock market, which is fucking... It disgusts me, but at the same time, it's obviously going to happen, and there's nothing that's going to stop it from happening at this point. What that fuck-ass Kalshi crap? Whatever it is, I don't remember. I think it's called Polymarket? I don't know. She's lying, that's not possible. Crowd is soy-jacking. You thought wrong, counselor. It's true that the katana has blood from Miller's stabbing on it, and I'll admit that it's surprising to see his blood on your client's bindings. Miller's autopsy shows that he had no wounds besides the fatal puncture in his neck, so the bindings of my client had to have been intact at the time Miller died. But those bindings didn't need to be cut before your client could kill him. What? If your client's wrists were left bound for questioning, he could have stolen the gun, killed Tanks and Creek, then picked up his sword and just stated in his testimony and set to work. You think my client was drugged and beaten before killing 4 men with his wrists bound? Hardly impossible for a man with his talents. And there's no other explanation for why he would have cut his bindings with the sword that, as you insist, must have already been used to kill Miller. No other explanation? Not even if he used something else to break out of confinement? What if my client had simply used this to break out? What the hell is that? Way overcooked from what I can tell! It's a murder weapon, Your Honor. One recovered from the scene of the crime. That knife. Yes, that's what I grasped when I first woke up. That's impossible! What she said! There's nothing about a knife found seared to perfection in the ARC's data! Is it overcooked or seared to perfection? This knife was not found inside the building, Your Honor. I retrieved it from the alley immediately beside it. Your android did? Need her to submit video evidence of the entire afternoon to verify it, doubting Thomas? It's not the android I'd have trouble taking at her word, counselor. What forensics have been performed on it? There are no fingerprints remaining, and the DNA present in the blood is too damaged to be of use. But I have identified at least 2 different blood typings, AB- and B-, Your Honor. Your Honor, the people are, of course, interested in forensic analysis of any evidence that seems pertinent to the crime at hand. But this was retrieved from an alleyway dumpster. A soot-filled drum near an alleyway dumpster. From an alley in the lower wards. Without strong evidence linking it to the crime, I see no reason to entertain the idea that this is some kind of 4th murder weapon. 3rd murder weapon. What? The bat was post-mortem. The point still stands. Well, how about it, Morgie? Any link between this totally not suspicious fire-broiled knife and our crime? Or should we just throw it back in the garbage? Again, it was a soot-filled drum by the garbage. Of course I have more to go on than mere proximity, Your Honor. I have proof right here that this knife was what Sosuke used to cut himself free. Where's your proof that Sosuke wielded this knife? Well, his medical records... Trey and milk. So his medical records might be one of these because... It's not that... Source, I made it up. Arrested with numerous injuries, cut on his left-hand finger, bruises and welts otherwise. His medical records might tell us what his blood type is. And so that could be the reason, or cut bindings could also be indicative of the blood typing. I'll try cut bindings first. The bindings, what of them? Oh, my first thing was correct, not this. They were clearly cut with something sharp. Yes, we've been over that. And the knife is sharp. I'm not going to walk in circles of logic with you, counselor. Harsh, but fair. You know. Yeah, I should have gone with my gut. Just take another look at that. Your client's medical intake record? A little too late to still be drawing up sympathy, but if there are shirtless photos in file, I suppose I have a duty. There are. What? I did not remove my shirt for... If I may please direct the court's attention to one specific item. Slight laceration found on left hand. What do you mean slight? Like a paper cut? More like a cutting board accident. Neither plants a very gallant picture. But if he had a cut on his finger when he was first arrested, then it must have been sustained around the time of his escape. Like when he was using a knife to cut himself out of the bindings while blindfolded. Yeah, that makes sense! Even a master swordsman can nick himself on his blade every now and then. His katana was found with a lot of blood on it, yes. But none of his own. Ah, that makes sense. Adonai is correct. Yoru was thoroughly tested and found to have blood residue matching Miller, Trey, and Officer Chopin. But not one drop of Sosuke's. Meanwhile, we have a knife right here, ready to be submitted into evidence and studied under every microscope the state can find, that just so happens to have Sosuke's exact blood type on the tip. AB minus? That blood type. Doesn't match anyone in this case's full file except for Sosuke. What? I do blood type fortune telling. So I have a hobby. Shoot me. 2 shots right to the base of my skull. Counselor Morgan. Perhaps you might grace us all with your formal request. I call for this knife to be submitted into the record and forensically analyzed as quickly and thoroughly as possible, because I believe it is the murder weapon that actually ended Miller's life. A knife to the neck would be much easier to pull off than using the very tip of a sword. I'd, hypothesize. Nice recovery. Perfect ukemi. In other words, then, you're asking for the medical examiner to reevaluate whether this knife might be a better fit for the wound in Miller's neck. Yeah, did you just repeat what you said, but slightly rephrased? A conversational tactic to surpass Metal Gear... It's worth repeating, Your Honor, because the people understand the full weight of what this knife implies. It can overturn this entire case in an instant, depending upon what Sato finds. Emma's repeating what I said because she's stunned. I just flashed her my hand, and it was the 1 card away from a full house. The people have no objections, Your Honor. This trial requires that we fully examine this new piece of evidence. Cool, so does someone have her number? Is there any group chat room for everyone who works for the government, or... Dr. Sato is already on her way. So there is a group chat, and I'm not in it. She'll begin the examination as soon as she arrives. Guess we just slack off until she's done, then. It occurs to me, Your Honor, that we ought to thoroughly examine why this possibly critical piece of evidence was not found during the police's investigation. The investigation and preservation of this crime scene was a joint effort between the police and Cyanus Security. Then perhaps our next witness can shine the light on the source of this deficiency. We're going to call in a Han. Fuck off, Sea Cleaner. Adelaide Hahn, site manager at Cyanus Security. I served as supervisor for the scene of the crime in case... Oh god, 356319B. Wow, can I call you lady? Nah, babe, but what should I call you, though? Well, you can keep calling me babe, or... You already address the adjutant as your honor. Awfully cold name for such a hot... Why the hell wasn't this knife found sooner? Well, I hate to throw a business partner under the bus, but we at Sienna Security maintain the perimeters and stand watch over secured scenes. It's the cops who do the searching and flagging. You have to ask them why they didn't go dumpster diving. It was a drum. The police aren't your business partners, though, are they? I don't understand the question, Your Highness. Sienna Security is a cell corporation owned by FIC Holdings, an offshore rebranding and effective pseudonym for Kim Acquisitions, aka the heart of the criminal organization operating in the lower wards that is commonly referred to as the Blue Blood Mafia. If you say so, sounds like it's above my pay grade. Permission to treat the witness as hostile? Can I get popcorn first? Do you know why the state cooperates with the Blue Bloods to this degree? Why you're allowed to run your businesses and manage your petty fiefdoms? Petty fiefdoms? How about this? It's a free country and we're loyal, capitalist, tax-paying entrepreneurs. You got your own explanation? It's because you're insignificant. What the fuck? Oh, right. They work with you because you are insignificant. Because you are not a threat to the police. Therefore, it is fine for you to work with them. You're safe to work with. The police can't as openly work with people like the Acadia Foundation because they are much more powerful and could quickly take a partnership with the police into a spiral where they gain control of the fucking police force, so they can't really associate that closely with other crime families. But the Blue Bloods are mid-level, so they're powerful enough to be useful, but not strong enough to be a threat, whereas the Acadias are. Like, the Acadias would be so useful that it would backfire, but the Blue Bloods can't really. Also, I find their rivalry kind of funny because it like, this is stupid, and it's probably not going to come up. But I think the implication here is that this is between a Chinese gang and a Japanese gang in Southern California, murdering each other 60 years in the future. Man, some conflicts just don't end, huh? You know, I will admit, literally once in this episode, Morgan mentioned, Morgan said something to the effect of, Sarah, this is about race. Like, they have a lineage they have a DNA lineage, but then all the other characters waved off the word immediately. They could never get along. They have a violent history. Yeah, especially when they're mafia. Especially when it's not like their polite societies, it's their fucking worst of their societies. Neither you nor your organization are on trial here today. That's not a favor, and it's not a show of respect. It's just reality. The state is slow to shift its priorities. You aren't the focus of this investigation. But if you impede this trial's progress by dodging questions and playing stupid, you'll find that the state shifts its attention to your neck very fast. Interesting. You got questions for me, then? Why wasn't the alley searched? Because the police found all the murder weapons within minutes. No rational person walked into that bloodbath and thought, gee, I wonder if there's a knife buried under a pile of ash in the alley downstairs. Your witness, counselor. My turn. Gun! If my hunch is right, it'll be critical that I gather as much information as possible about the scene of the crime, and the ways in which it changed after I left. Yeah, because... both lawyers are psychopaths. I am curious about what Emma's deal is. Because I don't know if Emma is a psychopath. And it makes me also wonder, like, is Emma doing... Are these characters in their positions as lawyers, like, trying to do the right thing for the wrong reason? Is what I wonder. Like, one thing that confuses me is, like, why Morgan would be a lawyer and a serial killer. Like, that puts you in the spotlight pretty hard of the law when you're an active figure in law proceedings. So, like, I don't know if Emma is a psycho. I do think Morgan is some brand of psycho, but not necessarily as simple as, oh, she's just crazy, or oh, she's just evil generically. All her dreams about this girl making fun of her at school is making me wonder, are they really going to just tell, like, a basic story of Morgan just getting bullied until she went insane and started killing people? Like, is that what the plot's going to be eventually? I don't know. When did Sienna Security first arrive on the premises, ma'am? Midnight. About 2 hours after my client was arrested, you're sure? Checked my messages and saw the time right on my phone when we got there. You were there yourself? Trouble with being a site supervisor, you gotta stay on site. Lot of naps in parked cars. Han let slip a few details about the building's setup when we first met. Time to get all out on the record. Building security. Do you know who owns the building that these crimes took place in? I don't. Do you know who installed the security features on location? It was Cyanus. Must have gotten hired by someone. Not my department. But you recognized some of the handiwork? The front door was Cyanus. The individual vault with room locks too. That front door was locked when officers arrived. They had to shoot it open. Shouldn't your security systems recognize officers of the law? Our doors use physical locks. A lot of folks in the lower wards don't trust a fob scanner that can be hacked. Physical locks can be bypassed too. Sure, but at least that takes time. The night's weather. It was a warm night, I'll bet. You asking me about the weather? Not exactly grade A small talk. Relevance, Your Honor? I was trying to be polite, but if you insist, were the windows open in the building when you arrived? There's a lot of windows, not sure. The crime scene and the room directly below it, were their windows open? Yes, those windows were open when Cyanus arrived. Strange, didn't it rain that night? That drizzle was over before 9 p.m. And even if it had been a downpour, it's not a crime to risk getting your windowsills wet. Alright, so the building wasn't completely sealed by the time you got there. The alley. That knife was found in the alley only yesterday, even though the police should have searched there. Yep, seems like not everyone did their job. Did you do yours? Was the alley monitored around the clock? It was. Any disturbances to the scene of the alley? No, none. Stay or press? Disturbances? I don't think there's any way... I don't think we have any evidence that they disturbed that part of the scene. And even if it had been a downpour, it's not a crime to risk getting your windowsills wet. Why was the building made soundproof? Dunno, I'm not a building inspector, and I got the impression this wasn't a place that cared about certifications. You oversaw the site for days, and you still can't tell the court? The witness has already answered, Your Honor. A witness that knows when to stop talking. At least I'm no worse off for having asked. Oh, okay. We didn't lose any points for that. Someone, not my department. I don't know what we would be even pressing her on right here. Oh, also, what's going on here? Cell Corporation. A cell corporation is an informal, rather than legal, label for a business that operates without any clear or explicit knowledge of who its parent or sibling companies may be. The name comes from late 19th and early 20th century covert cell systems often employed by terrorist or paramilitary organizations. As there is no technical definition of what constitutes a cell corporation, the experience of employees operating within such companies vary greatly, but it is commonly reported that individuals are expected to complete their work without full information about how their jobs slot into a greater company's corporate structure. While many consider the comparison inappropriate or even libelous, there is nothing illegal about the organizational structure, and some consider it a prudent measure to reduce the risk of trade secrets leaking to competitors. Users also frequently searched for, "What is my job?" Oh, that's funny. That is funny. So there was no opportunity for someone to plant that knife there after the crime occurred? Not even a blue blood? There were cops coming and going all over. Why don't you ask them if we went around planting evidence? We did our damn job. Oh, really? Right, as expected. Accusing a witness of corruption without strong evidence wasn't exactly a safe bet. I don't know what we're pressing her on when we talk about the fucking security, though. Like, I don't know what we would be pressing her on. Is there any way to unlock that front door without its key? I mean, you could use a spare, right? Is there any way to lock that front door without its key? Yeah, but the technique's real complicated. You walk out and let it shut behind you. That door is designed to lock behind you automatically. It's a selling point for a building designed to be secure. Thank you. That was a very enlightening conversation. But it raises just one question. Whoever could have gotten inside the building before Chopin and Rogers? The hell are you talking about? Your Honor, perhaps Counselor Morgan might narrow down her absurd attention-grabbing claim first, so that the people can properly eviscerate it? Yeah, what she said! Someone got into the building before Chopin and Rogers did. That's become obvious. What are you talking about? The only way into that building was through the front door. Chopin had to shoot it. Are you suggesting that he didn't even try turning the handle first? The front door was locked. Because we left through it. Right. So we know... No, the door was definitely locked when those two arrived. This witness has testified that the door is designed to lock itself automatically, so it's impossible for the door to have been left unlocked. As you say, but in that case... If we know that the front door was locked all night, and we know that the master key was found on Creek's body on the 3rd floor, then where do I even... What the hell are you trying to say anyway? Just that they used a spare key. Oh, a spare key. How convenient, but completely unfounded. The witness just testified that a spare key is the only other way in. But there's no proof that a spare key even exists. Probably not. No. Probably. So how about I show the courtroom where it was hidden instead? signs of being moved. The dumpster? What is your obsession with presenting evidence found in the garbage? I'm going to ignore that comment. And besides, there wasn't a spare key in the dumpster. It must have been underneath it. What? Is that true? Hey, don't look at me! I have no idea what she's talking about. That dumpster has clearly been moved, as indicated by the markings left behind from dirty rain in the lower wards. We can all see those marks, Counselor, but it could have been moved at any point after the last time it rained down there. The witness just testified that the last time it rained was around 9 p.m. on the night of the murder. So what? Your claim is that a spare key to the front door was left underneath the dumpster? Not so dissimilar from leaving a spare key under a potted plant. Or a setting stone, or a biwa statue. This isn't anything like either of those examples. That dumpster is massive and its wheels are long gone. Correct, so if anyone had moved it after police had arrived, the cops definitely would have heard it. If it was moved after the rain stopped and before Chopin and Rogers got there, that narrows it down to sometime between 9 and 10 p.m. And of course, someone would only bother to move a dumpster that heavy if they knew what they'd find underneath it. Someone like... It had to be Han, of course. Counselor. As a known associate of the Blue Blood Mafia and an employee of the security company who installed the front door at the crime scene, she'd have known exactly where to find a spare key. That dumpster also happens to be incredibly heavy, but I don't believe this witness's mod documentation has been submitted to the court. Who's winning the bullshit competition? Phoenix Wright, Joseph Joestar, or Morgan? Oh, Joseph Joestar. Joseph Joestar in part 2, like, he is quote-unquote smart, but he's smart like the way a bad writer writes smart people, where they don't understand how smart people act, so they just have them know things that don't make any sense. So, like, 100% it's Joseph Joestar from part 2. Could you estimate for us your approximate lifting strength? You lift with your back, not your arms, lady. Pushing strength, then. Me, I couldn't push over a flower. Fact is, you're just bullshitting. There's no proof for any of what you said. We could check for your fingerprints on the front door. You'll find them because I've used it plenty of times. It's my job. We could check for your fingerprints on the dumpster. That thing's filthy. You'd get nothing but partials from a bunch of unlisted and addicts and whoever else is stumbling around in that alley. Would we? Dunno. But after you do, might I just recall how I nearly puked when I saw the crime scene? And how I might have stepped into that alley to catch my breath? Would you believe I rested my hands on that dumpster then? This line of questioning is unproductive, Your Honor. Counselor Morgan cannot substantiate her theory because the fact is, there's nothing strange about Han's prints being on any centimeter of that building. Not when she's spent nearly 2 full days patrolling it. True, fingerprints won't be enough. I need something more impactful, and I've got just the thing. What? Han was there that night. She was there before the police ever were, and she was there long before Cyanus showed up at midnight. And I can prove it right now. How? Exactly. What? I'm going to prove how she got there before the police did. What the hell was that? Oh, it's the dog whistle that only Android, or that only the Android can hear because they have special ears. But it's not just that, it's their phones. Adonai, did you really have to do that again? What is happening right now? This is a simple whistle. Every time I press it... every ad in the courtroom picks up a rather nasty frequency, as does any phone with the proper receiver app installed. So, should the witness be excused so she can answer her phone, Your Honor? You brought that shit into this courtroom? Where exactly was this whistle found? At the scene of the crime, of course. Near where Creek's body lay. Police must have disregarded it as a keychain or toy. Didn't anyone ever teach them that when you find a button, you should press it? That's exactly the opposite of what you should do at a crime scene. Yesterday, Dr. Sato testified that Creek was alive for several minutes after being shot. If he pressed this whistle even once in that time, the witness's phone would have started getting alerts. As I demonstrated to the court just now. Anything to say for yourself, Miss Han? Did someone install that app on your phone as a prank? Its reception has a limited range. The lower wards is a tight-knit, high-density community. How far could you have been? Far. I wasn't in the area that night. It doesn't matter what range she was at, Your Honor. The defense claims that Han entered the building with some kind of spare key, letting the front door lock behind her to block Chopin and Rogers. But those two officers did enter after they shot the lock, at which point they didn't run into the witness. Creek was shot at around 9:45 p.m. Considering the time it would have taken Han to arrive and retrieve the spare key, she would have only been a few steps ahead of Chopin and Rogers. After coming so far with your brilliant spare key deduction, are you now going to claim that she simply ran away? No, at that point, she would have had to hide. Since they didn't see her, logically, we must conclude that she hid in one of the rooms on that floor. That is logical, but it is also entirely conjecture. Not this time. Detective London's testimony established the possibility. Remember what the good Detective London testified earlier? Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so we focused on securing the area. Sunshine and I cleared the first floor. All the rooms were empty, but one was unlocked. Can you teach me how to speak brackets out loud later? Two police detectives have sworn that one vault on the first floor was found unlocked. Unlocked, perhaps, by a spare master key? Is this some kind of big deal? Your Honor, what Counselor Morgan is proposing would put the witness behind Officers Chopin and Rogers as they proceeded upstairs. Not a bad place to be if you want to do some backstabbing. You gotta be shitting me! That's some creative geometry you're employing, Counselor. Imagining the witness as somehow getting positioned behind Tariq Chopin, yet somehow remaining invisible to the eyes of Officer Rogers. Ugh, that's non-Euclidean crime scene recreation. Very novel. Yeah, because I don't know if I buy that Han is the one that stabbed Chopin. Because in order for that to make sense, she would have to run up there, stab him, then somehow run back downstairs, back into the fucking same room, without dripping blood and without Rogers seeing her. That's implausible. However, what is plausible is that a different blue blood was the killer. Or rather, actually, excuse me. All we need to prove is that Chopin was with the Blue Bloods himself. That Chopin himself was a plant by the Blue Bloods in the police force. Because Officer Rogers' testimony seems to imply that as well. So all this has to be is that Han, Chopin, and Rogers had to just simply somehow corresponded with what was happening, and the result is that Chopin got stabbed to death for some reason. Her insult sounded really smart, so I'm inclined to agree. I thought I had something, but when I tried to put the cards on the table, how could Han have gotten behind Chopin on the 3rd floor? Was Rogers distracted at the window, maybe? Or... Wrong question. I'm getting ahead of myself, trying to work backwards at this point. I shouldn't ask what Han could have done to get in a position where she was able to kill Chopin. I should ask first what Han would have done to serve her own interests. Your Honor, there's some testimony I'd like the court to hear once more. If you could access the stenography protocol. The what protocol? Was I supposed to be taking minutes for this meeting? I can recall any testimony if you want to review, Adonai. If Han won't self-incriminate, then the only testimony that could give me a clue as to her actions would be... I think? Recite Roger's testimony from yesterday. Start from after they entered the building. What are you fishing for? We heard a loud slam. Chopin. Okay, wait, no, I have to do Officer Rogers' voice. Chopin gets all deadly serious. No, he's not the fucking SpongeBob meme voice. He's like, Chopin gets all deadly serious and insists I stay, and he goes ahead. That's it. The sound Rogers heard from the alley, the one that made Chopin want to form a pincer. That must have been when Han moved the dumpster, landed on dumpster. When Han moved the dumpster in order to get the spare key. After the first officers on the scene had already destroyed the lock? Well, no, that would be silly of her. Yes, she certainly have egg on her face. Reminds me of someone else I know. Can't imagine who. Allow me to rephrase. The sound Rogers heard from the alley, the one that made Chopin want to form a pincer, that must have been when Han landed on them. The sound the officers heard was of someone fleeing the scene. Out the window, down the fire escape. And onto the dumpster. It's a bit of a drop. Even a dainty suspect would make quite the racket using the dumpster lid to break their fall. Your Honor, if we have to entertain this thread of conjecture, might we have at least asked for proof that it ends somewhat impactfully? I hear ya. Counselor Morgan, take this one seriously. You're telling me that? What exactly are you accusing this witness of? Are you prepared to accuse Han of having murdered Tariq Chopin? I think that might be a bit much. I don't think I have proof that she was the one who killed him, but what I do think is that Chopin was in with the Blue Bloods. And so there was reason for other people to kill him, not just Sosuke. Han didn't kill Chopin. Han killed Chopin. No, I don't think she killed him. If my theory is right, then it was the sound of Han fleeing the scene that caused the cops to split up. In other words, at the time she left, Chopin was still alive. No, she's been uncooperative and has lied on this witness stand, but she didn't kill anyone. Woof, that was anticlimactic. I mean, perjury? Who even cares? Perhaps now, Your Honor, the court can get back on track and bring this witness's testimony to a close. And considering the fact she may very well have perjured herself, I think it might be a better use of the court's time if we cleared the room for the remainder of this witness's testimony. No objections, Your Honor. Okie dokie. Bailiffs, clear the gallery and remove the defendant to a holding room. Stock market. They're forcing us out? What the hell? All the Wojaks are getting pushed out. All the Redditors being thrown out. Hey, tag along, would you? With Sosuke? Can't let someone with a concussion fall asleep, right? I am certainly not still concussed at this point. See? He's delirious. Maybe the future ain't so bad. Of all the Redditors losing their money, yeah, maybe the future isn't bad. Maybe the future is that all normies become Redditors, so the result is that it's a good thing that they suffer. So it's actually a win-win for everybody who's ready to just put their brains in a jar, you know, to become a superhuman, while all the other Redditors are just working their jobs and suffering forever because they're Redditors. Meanwhile, I'll be a brain in a jar laughing as a computer activates the fucking electroreceptors of my dopamine gland in my brain. Trust me. Very well, Adonai. Good luck. Place empties out faster than I thought. No gallery, no jury live feed, no bells and whistles. You just give your testimony to the defense, the people, and moi. Then, when you're done, I get to watch them argue over whether or not I should add it to the record. So, you think I got something contentious to say. Sorry, but it's just gonna be more of the cold shoulder. What I think is that you're scared. The hell? Of what? Who? You? An audience. What? The pigs? You think I give a shit what any of them thinks, says, does? Even if any one of them might leak what you say back to the old guard? What's an old guard? The ruling faction among the Blue Bloods, who use young bloods like this witness as their cannon fodder. Where'd you learn all that? You binged a late dying special? Knowing Emma, she just learned all of this from... Matter of fact, I did. Old Guard knows where my loyalties lie. I'm no snitch. So now there's someone to snitch on? I don't help state prosecutors, and I definitely don't help Ikarian lawyers. The court's already emptied out. We can sit here in silence if you like. 15 minutes of nothing and then you walk out. But when you do, someone's gonna make assumptions about what went on in here. Telling me I'm screwed if I do, screwed if I don't, and it ain't exactly got me feeling Sosuke didn't kill Creek. Maybe you don't care if an Ikarian dog goes down for a crime he didn't commit. But how do you feel about the person who did put that hole in Creek's chest, toasting to the news of the verdict? Screw this. 9:47 p.m., night of the murders. I got the alarm on my phone. I knew it was Creek, because the whistles all have specific frequencies. You gotta send them to your device if you want to listen for them. Creek had nerves like ice. Strong bluffer. Wouldn't press that button unless he absolutely had to. I ran. Was fastest that way on foot. Usually is in the lower wards. I knew where the spare key was. Helped set up the whole damn place. Doors, keys, soundproofing. Stepped inside and had just gotten my phone light out when those two idiot cops came up. Reds and blues, but no siren. Trying to be some kind of movie shit. I thought they were gonna shoot me. Then I heard Chopin get ready to break the lock, and I knew they were gonna shoot me. Used the spare key on the nearest vault, dipped inside, and prayed they would just head straight upstairs. Lucky for me, they did. You followed after them? At a distance, but yeah, saw their boots on stairs, their shoulders around corners. They split on the second floor. When one went upstairs, he was quiet, except for that squeak on the fourth step. Creek used to joke that was a valuable security feature. What if Creek and Han were fucking? What if Vase was fucking? And Han secretly is actually very, 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 very personally invested in the case, and we just simply don't know. Because they's was fucking. They separated on the second floor without any prompting. Other one was stomping around the second floor, so I was able to keep my distance, always knew exactly where that one was. Then one shouted down, he shouted, saying that everyone was dead. That must have been Chopin, just before Sosuke snuck up on him. I liked Creek. His boys were alright too. But I did not want to join them in Red Hood's company. Okay. Red Hood's company. So I didn't risk sticking around a second longer. I opened the window on the second floor and jumped for the ground. I was willing to hurt my knees, fall on my ass if I had to, but I ended up smacking the dumpster instead. Guy on the second floor shouted after me, they're in the alley. I heard windows slide open above me, footsteps on the fire escape. But my knees had stopped shaking and the fog was with me. They never saw me. You're saying you never even set foot on the third floor? Not until I came back hours later after a Cyanus rep. Nah, as a Cyanus rep. Where's the spare key now? Bottom of the bay at the moment. Hell of a throwing arm, as you can see. I ain't gonna help you go snorkel around for it, if that's what you're asking. Oh, yeah, so that's confirmation that this city is directly adjacent to the ocean. Guys, I think this is confirmation. This story takes place in San Francisco, 60 years in the future. We're next to the ocean. It's the United States. Asian gangs trying to kill each other. Yeah, this is also the gun laws are insane. Everyone is corrupt. The police are incompetent. This is obviously San Francisco. Now I need a really bad YouTube video that's like 4 hours long that says San Franciscan plays Cyberpunk San Francisco VA novel. VN. And then it's like the most stereotypical San Francisco motherfucker you've ever heard, just saying the dumbest shit ever as he plays the game, and he loses to every single puzzle because he doesn't know, he's too stupid. Make sure to pog out on the thumbnail, yeah. Reaction videos, honestly, are my guilty pleasure, my devil's lettuce. Like, later I'm probably gonna watch some reaction videos people made of Invincible Season 4. Because, I don't know, it's similar to mukbang in the sense that the reason people like those videos is because they feel a social connection to the person that's in the video. Like, if you're a person who's ever had siblings, you probably understand what I'm talking about. Like, if your older sibling is doing something, sometimes you just want to watch them as entertainment. You just want to watch them. You know, you want to watch them do a thing because the thing is cool, and it's like, oh, hey, that's a thing that my family member is doing, and they're doing it. I want to watch them do it. That's just a thing, you know? And I think that's the reason reaction videos are so popular. It's because there's this visceral, there's this very, very, I don't want to say carnal, there's a very cathartic emotion of just watching people do something that you have a vague interest in doing yourself. Well then, the people thank you for your testimony. You've cleared up a number of oddities surrounding this case. Though none of the answers you've provided have changed the fundamental fact of what the defendant is accused of. Not quite. She was in and out, counselor, didn't even set foot upstairs. I know, not until she came back to secure the scene, right? Out with it, counselor. There's no need for theatrics without the jury or gallery here. I'm still here. I do appreciate the witness being so forthcoming about her first visit to the scene. Now I just need her to explain why she started covering up evidence when she returned. What are you talking about? Why go to such effort to hide one small scrap of paper? What is that? More trash? Seriously? That's exactly what it is! Trash! Garbage! Some idiot knocked over a trash can on the second floor. It's a big building. This stuff happens. Still don't want to answer? That's okay. I will. You covered up that scrap of paper because it implicates you as an accomplice. Didn't see that coming. But because it's nonsensical, Your Honor. Counselor, you just got done explaining how Han arrived after the pod was killed and left before Chopin died. Not an accomplice to murder. Just the mafia equivalent of leaking government secrets. Even though the papers were almost certainly illegible, it only took 4 characters for the P.492 plan to blow up in court yesterday. Years of blue blood planning all down the drain because Creek was reading something he shouldn't have when he died. But if he shouldn't have had it in the first place, one has to wonder where he might have gotten it. All because of that one goddamn watermark. Identical to the one on your own business card. Cyanus Security? You leaked the red ink? Oops! She and Creek's pod were consorting with one another to manipulate Proposition 492 so that the young bloods can have a financial gain, a financial weapon against the old guard. Because the old guard right now are hoping that Sosuke Ikaria can be their smoking gun to bring back the blue bloods from the grave. But the young bloods don't want that. They want to elevate themselves to the same standing as the old guard. Because once the old guard reacquire their funds using Sosuke, if they are able to do that, they won't need the young bloods anymore. So that means Cyanus Security, aka Han here, and Creek's pod, they both have the same shared interest of like doing some sort of scheme that will give them any amount of leverage over the old guard within their own fucking gang. Which means it makes sense that her and Creek would be consorting with one another and scheming with one another. But what's more is that this scheme that they wanted to go with also involved Officer Chopin's parents, his 2 fathers, the congressman. Which means that Officer Chopin, oh wow, what an interesting coincidence that you're investigating a crime that you were alerted to by a dog whistle on your phone at a scene where blue bloods were consorting with one another on a fucking plan that your fathers, both of your fathers, are involved in. This is like what Morgan is doing is establishing a defense that the entire investigation is completely washed. There is nothing that can be trusted from anyone involved. Period. Because Cyanus Security was working with the pod, which was working with the police, which means everything is compromised. And if Morgan can get this solidly in, she can then create a new web of events that could indicate somebody else was the killer. I don't know exactly what she's gonna do, or who she's gonna blame as the actual killer, because we know that she killed 4 of these people. We know that she's the murderer for 4 of them. I do not still know how, though, we're going to... I don't know how we're going to establish Sosuke as having not killed Chopin yet, though. Her defense right now of making it be that a bunch of the evidence and the entire security of the scene is completely null and void, like, that part's great, but that doesn't mean that Sosuke can't be convicted. Like, Emma could still take these facts into account and establish a new web of events that still logically follows why these three groups of people would be consorting with one another, and how, even if they were, that doesn't necessarily matter to who killed all of the people. So Emma can still create her own attack strategy with this new information, but this still gives Morgan a huge amount of leeway to, it gives Morgan a lot of breathing room, is what it does. So I'm gonna give it a nice little save. Creek never asked nobody for nothing. Dumbass was a giver. Gave money, food, blood, more than any of us. Enough that the weaker ones wouldn't have to get stuck. Guy like that came to a two-faced con hostess like me and asked for help. That red ink is radioactive. Anyone caught with it, why would he ask you for it? Old Guard knew Creek was charismatic, brave, smart. Everything they feared in a young blood. But they also knew Creek made them too much money for them to just off. So the Old Guard decided to wear them down instead. More jobs than any other crew, more responsibilities, less downtime, no sleep. Keep them too tired to have time to rebel, then wait for them to screw up. So you can make an example of them when they do. Managers would do the same thing when a host got too full of themselves. Started thinking they were the ones bringing in the money, so they were the ones who should keep it. Just put them on the grind. Grind them into dust. One old bastard had them trying to grab that Ikaria kid or whatever. At the same time, another expected them to do some kind of arms handoff to a big shot. See, that's her referring to the mask that Morgan stole. That Creek told Morgan, "You're dead meat for stealing this. There is now a hunter after you. You're fucked, lady." So that's still a big problem that Morgan's gonna have to deal with. Would be a lot easier if you just, didn't kill people, but for some reason Morgan can't resist killing people. Least that was the rumor. Look, point is, Creek knew they had a target on their back already, so they wanted some kind of deterrent. They could have dropped that red ink into any inbox in town like a tactical nuke if they had to. But maybe that's why they fired their missiles first. You think the Old Guard killed Creek? I don't think it was that petty boy Hound nursing those broken bones. Did he off the Chopin guy, though? I mean, I'd kill a stuck-up, spoiled prick like that for no motive, so did that answer your questions, counselor? Not the most burning one. When did this scrap of paper arrive on the second floor? Wasn't there when I ran out that window. It was dark, and you were panicked. How could you even have noticed? Paper's white. If you had seen it, would you have taken it? You kidding? Yeah, of course I would have taken it. Would have eaten the damn paper to make sure. Why didn't you simply eat the damn paper later when you did see it? Removing an item from an ARC-scanned building would set off on any number of red flags. And the first thing that would happen is that they'd wind the clock back to see what it was. That's what I did. Looked back to see how the hell I missed it, but the damn thing was in every pick the ARCs had right from the beginning. Knocking over trash to hide it was the best thing I could do. Lower ward survival tactics, hide in numbers. If this scrap wasn't on the second floor when you left, but it was on the arcs from the start, that means Reyes's body cam saw it by the second floor windowsill, the one that connected to the fire escape. Oh. Your Honor, I believe we're done with this witness, even though we've all managed to establish is that someone went from the third floor to the second floor without taking the stairwell. Someone circled around. You got all that from one paper? Am I stupid? Just because those papers originated on the third floor? If that scrap was found by the windowsill, someone could have taken the fire escape. Exactly. Could have. Someone could have. But obviously they didn't, because then they would have run right into Dr. Sato! She has some kind of evidence or DNA or whatever. Maybe even an updated autopsy report, if you even care. Should we let her in? Your Honor, you're the one overseeing the trial, so I can cry if I want to? Open her up. And kick the flirt out. Hey, Miss Morgan. That Ikarian dog didn't kill Creek's pod. No, he didn't. Yeah, because Morgan killed them. You gonna find out who did? Not your job, huh? Guess I deserve that. Finding Creek's killer is not technically my job either, Han. But if they're brought before me, I can promise I won't hold anything back. Appreciate the sentiment, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. And I won't tell any of the other young bloods to hold theirs. The killer could be anyone! It even could be you or me! Why did they make the adjutant a very, very large woman with humongous tits? Could they have made the adjutant just like a box? Is there some reason that they needed them to be giant, sexy ladies? I guess she sort of is, I guess she's sort of stylized after the Statue of Liberty to an extent. So I guess maybe it's pure symbolism. But man, they really made her stacked and 9 feet tall for some reason. And she doesn't have a cute personality. She has like a dozen different subgroup personalities. I thought it was Lady Justice. Yeah, I guess she's stylized after Lady Justice, which is the statue of, which is this more or less the same thing as the Statue of Liberty. Wanted to display it as something larger than life. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, sure. In fact, I don't even know if she can stand up and walk. She's so big and so heavy. I don't even know if that's possible with how thin her legs are. It could be that she's designed to literally sit there indefinitely until she needs maintenance, and then people come to do maintenance on her or something like that. That's what I would assume. Because there's no reason to have her be functional in like any way other than just being a judge. But if that's the case, then I don't know why they made her to a sexy lady, unless of course it's symbolism. So, you know. Phew. Lots of news to break. I'll leave the interpretation of the good and the bad to you two. That's cool. Just imply I'm the ugly. It's fine. Counselor Morgan's hypothesis stands. This knife matches Miller's entry wound. Well, how about that? And it matches the wound better than the katana, considering what we discussed yesterday. I'd be ready to say this is definitely the murder weapon used to stab Miller. That is, now the case is completely changed, because now we know that there's a different murder weapon than the katana. So this completely explodes everything. So Morgan gained a lot of breathing room, by more or less proving that Han and that Cyanus and Han's pod were consorting with one another, which compromises the scene. So that's a bunch of breathing room. Now we know. Now we can confirm that that the murder weapon is the knife, which means we can now draw a lot of suspicion off of Sosuke as being a part of his involvement. Summary of Medical Examiner Sato's findings in the death of Heaven's Miller Smiles. After analyzing the knife Sarah recovered, Dr. Sato has concluded that it is the blade that stabbed into Miller's neck, not Sosuke's katana. Cause of death, single stab wound to the carotid artery leading to the massive loss of blood. Loss of consciousness would have occurred momentarily after the blade's withdrawal. Subject was stabbed in the neck with the bladed instrument approximately 2 to 3 centimeters thick. Puncture wound is approximately 13 centimeters deep. How big is this knife? Wait, no, 13 centimeters. Isn't that like 6 inches? I guess like a knife 5 to 6 inches long is still a knife. I was picturing the knife as being nowhere near that big. I was picturing fuck. I feel like 6 inches is like kukri size. You could make like a sword. Oh, okay, so it's 5.1 inches. Oh, okay. Still, she got that knife all the way into his neck and withdrew it in one motion. That's insane. Blood on the subject's hands suggests they attempted to staunch their bleeding or possibly even remove the weapon. Soft neck, duh. Also, Miller seemed to be like a teenager. He was very scrawny, so I guess his neck was pretty scrawny, I guess. I'd be ready to say this is definitely the murder weapon used to stab Miller. But I've had no more luck with DNA testing than Sarah did. You weren't able to get anything? Nothing in the range of admissibility. However, like Sarah, I was able to perform blood type analysis on the blade. And while I also found AB- and B- samples on it, I found one more blood type as well, A+. Everything is soft when you're caught off guard. Yeah, I suppose. It's just crazy how efficient Morgan is at killing. Like, one momentary distraction from the television, she stole the gun, shot him, his boss, and then pulled out her knife to stab 2 people. Like, within like 1 round. Like, Aragim, like, she has to have whirlwind attack or something. She killed 4 people in 6 seconds or some shit. Like, how many levels does she have? Like, is she like level 10 in Grim and Gritty? Like, what is she doing? Like, holy fuck. She does yoga? She's at least level 5 with Action Surge. I don't play a lot of 5th edition, so I don't quite remember how Action Surge works, but I do remember it as being a very big meme. What does the fighter do? Oh, they just keep doing more and more actions because that's all we got for fighters in 5th edition. 3 people cut with 1 knife? This can't be hygienic. As long as you don't stick it in your mouth, you should be fine. A+ blood? Who was there that night that had A+ blood? Dr. Sato's analysis has led her to conclude that this knife is a better match for the stab wound to Miller's neck than the katana is. She confirmed Sarah's blood type findings and also found evidence of a 3rd type of blood present on the knife, type A+. profiles. London Masters, Miller, Morgan. A-B minus. Okay, for a moment, I was gonna be like, don't tell me Morgan nicked herself on this fucking knife. But no, she is blood type AB minus. I have no idea. I could go through the whole roster of people who might have type A plus blood, but I'm not gonna bother yet until it's prompted. Your Honor, these findings bring a rather alarming fact to light. If Dr. Sato believes that Miller was most likely stabbed by this knife and not the katana, that means this knife was also the source of Miller's blood on Sosuke's bindings. So either my client killed 4 men while cycling between a gun, a sword, a bat, and now a knife with his wrists tied together, all before ever stopping to cut his bindings, or he was still in captivity when the Blue Bloods were killed. But wait, that almost sounds like an alibi for 4 of the 5 murders. That is not an alibi, Your Honor. Merely an increasingly strong shadow of doubt? The jury can decide that for themselves. The facts surrounding Tariq Chopin's death still stand. Sasuke Ikaria was the only living individual in the room Chopin was killed. Sasuke Ikaria is the only person with his fingerprints in the katana. Something he corroborated with his very own testimony just a short while ago. And the defense's theorized fleeing suspect had already been revealed as incapable of committing any of these crimes. Yes! But unfortunately for the people's case against my client, there's evidence that completely overturns our understanding of how Chopin died. The red ink papers? They were found underneath Chopin's body. And so they're probably important. Let us know when you get back from reaching the end of that thought, counselor. Will do. I should have just gone with the knife. This music is so the good guys are about to win, but Morgan is straight up the villain. The knife that Dr. Sato just confirmed was used on Miller? Very likely used to kill Miller, yes, but definitely used to kill Chopin. Whoa, wait, it was used to kill Chopin as well? Oh, wait, what, Chopin? Someone came to the scene, found Morgan's knife, stabbed Chopin in the back, burned the knife outside, there's a person that hasn't been introduced to this plot that is the killer of Chopin, or Rogers was the killer. Rogers had to have been the killer. It had to be Rogers. There's nobody else. Because we know that Han escaped. We have all the evidence that would lead to that conclusion that Han left. Finish the case to find out. Oh, what, have you played this yourself already? What? What are you going on about? Blood typing. Chopin is the only victim with A+ blood. Even my client, Sosuke, has AB- blood. Yet Dr. Sato just told us that A+ blood was found on this knife. You watched other people? Ah, okay. That blood could have come from nowhere but the single fatal wound identified on his autopsy. Chopin's blood was all over the scene. The knife could have fallen into it at any point. Check. Not at any point, no. This knife was removed from the crime scene and never seen by the Arcs. That means it had been moved into the alley before Detective Reyes arrived on the 3rd floor. But Chopin was impaled by the sword. We've all seen it. Yes, but not fatally. How could that stab wound not be fatal? Because it was post-mortem. Yep. So, Morgan came to this place. She killed the 4 Blue Bloods for the mask and left. Then, Chopin and Rogers came here, and for some reason, Rogers stabbed Chopin to death. And then hid. It's not fatal if they're already dead. Yeah, and then hid. And then he either noticed, he probably noticed, you know, I don't know if, what I'm trying to get at is that, like, 2 different murderers framed Sasuke for 5 killings, which is kind of an outstandingly absurd circumstance. How fucking unlucky do you have to be Sasuke in this scenario? Parents were murdered by your new parents. You're forced to live your life to be a weapon, even though you secretly have offshore money that you can't claim because it belongs to the enemies of your current parents. Meanwhile, you're forced to be an assassin, forced to be a bodyguard, you almost die, then you get nearly tortured to death, then you wake up to 5 dead bodies with no memory of what they did, and you've been framed for all 5 of their deaths. How fucking unlucky do you have to be this man? And 5 of those murders, there's 2 different murderers, and they both framed you. Are you fucking serious? That is... How fucking unlucky do you know what? No, it's not bad luck, because he's a part of the crime, he's a part of this crime circle. This web of corruption. He's, you know, in the thin of it. And when there's this much lying and corruption going on, I guess completely insane coincidences happen, like this. And he did literally none of them. It's very funny. It's absurd. 5 deaths, 2 killers, framed for all... Somehow you get framed for all 5 of them. Fucking wow. I was already thought it was crazy that he was even on trial for murder, when I thought that... Wouldn't he see 4 of these deaths as, like... as, like, self-defense? Like, they were fucking torturing him. But now it's just like, wow, he literally didn't do any of it. Like, I was entertaining the possibility he did stab Chopin for some reason, but no. You're basing this on the blood? Usually closely follows the stabbing, yeah. It's the amount of blood, Your Honor. An impalement doesn't leave much blood at the scene because the weapon acts as a stopper. I'd assumed the amount of blood at the scene was just the result of the sword being jostled afterwards because the wound had been aggravated. But this knife turns that idea on its head. Yes, Chopin was stabbed in the heart from behind, but it was most likely with this knife. Not awake for 4, concussed for the 5th. Yeah, like, it was ridiculous. Like, it should have been considered something as, like, manslaughter to begin with. Even if he had killed the police officer, like, he was tortured half to death. Like, what the fuck? How do you blame this guy other than because there's corruption going on? Because, like, here's the thing, like, the courts are probably corrupt in this aspect too, otherwise they probably would have treated Sasuke a lot better with their sentence, with their charges, but they didn't. They were like, oh, you were beaten half to death, but you killed your captors? Oh, you're a murderer. Like, huh? Wait, what? He collapsed on the floor dead, then the knife was removed and his corpse was impaled with the sword in the same wound, leaving a mark on the floor. The sword was only then moved around, increasing the wound size and masking the initial knife's entry wound, while utterly soaking the floor in blood. It's a possibility. If I may, Your Honor, this may just be a possibility, but it's the possibility that makes the most sense to me. It explains the irregularities, the victim's substantial blood loss, the pattern of the wound, and the indentation on the floor. It might make medical sense, Dr. Sato, but the sequence of actions you've described are not those of a rational human. But wanting to frame Sosuke for the murder seems pretty reasonable. And stabbing the corpse with this katana would be the best way to do that. The judge in the background with this huge eyes. Yeah, she's funny. They needed the katana to frame Sosuke? No, they didn't, because... They didn't even need the katana to frame him, because, Wait! Did the knife, this same knife was used to cut the bindings. It was used to cut the bindings. So that means Sosuke was unbound, and the actual killer took the knife and stabbed Chopin. But the only person we could conclude did that that we know of would be Rogers. Does that mean Sosuke simply doesn't remember undoing his binds, then Rogers took the knife from him and then stabbed Chopin? Because I thought that... Let's look at the knife for a moment here. I might be remembering incorrectly, but what I had thought is that Morgan put the knife into Sosuke's hand so that he could use it to undo his bindings. Which would mean that the killer would have had to have taken the knife from him to kill Chopin. They didn't, but as a result, that means they didn't actually need the katana to frame Sosuke, because Sosuke had already handled the knife. Like, his DNA was already on the knife. Wait, no, they did need it, because the killer needed to throw the knife into the barrel to burn in order to remove their own fingerprints from it. So they had to remove their own DNA, their own DNA evidence from it, which would mean that the knife wouldn't have Sosuke's fingerprints on it, which would mean that they need something else to frame Sosuke, which means they did in fact need the katana. Yes, okay. I reasoned it out by myself, guys. You make a strong argument, Dr. Sato. In order to frame my client for Chopin's death, they'd have to put his fingerprints on the murder weapon, the knife. They wouldn't need to stab the corpse with Sosuke's katana. They could have just put the knife in his hands. Oh. Swapping out the murder weapon and disposing of the knife is 2 to 4 times as much work. That many more chances to make a mistake. It's nonsensical. Stabbing Chopin's corpse with a katana didn't help them frame Sosuke. Oh. Okay, I guess I'm stupid. Whatever. So what did it achieve? It made a big mess some poor schmuck would have to clean up. Yes, that's... Chopin's blood nearly destroyed all the red ink docs at the scene. But who's to say that's a coincidence? What if Chopin was stabbed twice? Just so that his blood would cover up the red ink docs. This is insane. Makes sense to me. No, not your logic for the stabbing. This idea of yours that Tarika Chopin was part of some conspiracy to defraud the city. Agreed. That is insane. I believe just the opposite. You... What? Tariq Chopin was an unpopular, straight-laced political aspirant working as a cop only to improve his electability. His personality, his family, his goals, he'd have every reason to blow the whistle on Prop 492. And just get the whole project cancelled? Leaving the lower wards in an underdeveloped lurch. A lot of people would hate to see that happen. A lot of blue bloods. But the son of 2 city councilmen wouldn't care. And an Ikaria like my client would be actively rooting for it. You think Chopin was murdered just to cover up the fact that Prop 492 has been corrupted? Just all that money left on the table? All the future money coming down the line? That's a much better motive than... What was it you proposed exactly? That my client saw a police officer and would rather just stab him than have to explain why he'd killed his captors? Something along those lines. Yeah, that's a big problem this whole time, is that, like, we've just been making assumptions that Sosuke in his delirious state would have the motive to murder people, including a police officer. Like, it's already absurd that he would even be physically capable in the first place. Like, the entire premise of this case is probably very farcical, but at the same time, I think that's purposeful to show how fucked this world is. Like, how fucked justice is in this fucking universe, in this game's universe. So, like, what's going on now? Did Sosuke do it or not? That will be cleared up in very short order, Your Honor, with the help of our final witness. Are we gonna bring Rogers back? So, Yoru wasn't even really used to frame me. It was used to draw more blood from the wound to soak the papers? A very cold decision to make in the heat of the moment. Defiling a corpse just to protect investments. Colder than stabbing someone in the back? In some ways. Didn't think that was up for debate. Yeah, I fucking knew it. Thank you for joining us once again, Officer Rogers. No problem. Where is everyone, though? Well, after the shooting yesterday, I'd rather not risk the integrity or celerity of this trial by rescreening every member of the gallery when we've already cleared the room once. Celerity? Speed! Trials gotta go fast, baby! And it takes everyone a while to find their spot in the stands again. We were almost caught in the line of fire not 24 hours ago, Officer Rogers, yourself included. Surely you don't find the lack of an audience to be intimidating. Nah, I guess not. Where'd we leave off with this guy anyway? I believe that lawyer over there had just accused my late partner of being on the take for the Blue Bloods. I was merely exploring the possibility raised by the witness's sworn statement, Your Honor, that he never heard any gunshots in the area himself. And I stand by that. Good. Does the defense have questions for this witness, Your Honor? Or should we all continue to glare at one another for the rest of the day? Tempting, but I guess we'd better not. Your Honor, we ask that the witness testify once more about how he and his partner arrived on this scene. Yeah, no problem. I'll repeat it as many times as you like. I'm gonna have to call you on that. Whistle. It was a quiet night. I never heard gunshots. No. We just hit the beep, 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 beep. I cannot believe a fucking dog whistle is the reason this entire case is getting fucking gutted. Holy shit. As I've mentioned, I feel many times by now that it is a very unpleasant tone, Adonai. Sorry, Butterfingers. Hasn't anyone ever told you it's in poor taste to use the same trick twice? It's been a lot more than twice now. And besides, it's only an issue when it's used twice on the same audience. Speaking of which... You gonna answer that, Officer Rogers? Fucking snake. This fucking snake killed his partner and then framed Sosuke. What a fucking snake. Just to fill you in, officer, what I accidentally pressed just now is a whistle found at the scene of the crime. Weird coincidence that my little slip-up coincided with your phone vibrating. Can you read us the notification you received just now? Or should the court computer simply force open all your devices and splatter your data across the walls? Officer Rogers, you have a so-called receiver application installed on that device, do you not? Yes, I do. Is that in line with department guidelines on use of third-party software on state-provided devices? It's not breaking any regulations. Doesn't need to earn you any demerits to make you look guilty of sin. You and your partner, that is. Did Chopin also have the app installed? We can go check. If having that app on your phone makes you guilty of something, you'd have to arrest half the cops patrolling the lower wards. What do you mean? It's common knowledge that orcas use unconventional tactics to talk to one another. Flags on buildings, clothes left out on lines, smoke signals, probably even messenger pigeons. Where? Don't jump scare me like that. When you've got a figure this statuesque, every pigeon is a disaster waiting to happen. What? Are you saying that because you look like the Statue of Liberty, pigeons are going to shit on you? What? Okay. Anyway, whistles like that aren't uncommon. So it is common for members of the police department to try and listen in on the chatter of groups like the Blue Blood Mafia? Lower wards aren't a place a cop walks into without every weapon they can carry. And that goes double for information. So there's nothing suspicious about his police phone reacting to that horrible, horrible racket. Adonai, have I had to put up with that noise for nothing? Not for nothing. The witness is correct, Your Honor. There's nothing suspicious about having a receiver installed on any of your devices, even if you aren't a cop. What's incriminating is the fact that Officer Rogers' device responded to the specific frequency of this whistle. Sorry, officer. A little blue birdie already told the court that you need to input a frequency in order to get alerts for it. Yeah, I know that. So does the whole force, in fact. What? I see. The hell is she reading over there? Officer Rogers, testify about this anonymous tip that the police department received last night. Oh no, a new wrench! Oh, for... Morgan's having the thought of, oh, for fuck's sake! Haven't seen the submission myself, but it came through the department network straight to everyone's inboxes. Be advised, anonymous tip suggested potential Orca analog chatter at the frequency listed below. Patrol officers in lower wards use this information at your discretion. That's absurd. What's the point of informing every cop in the city about a secret communications channel? The Blue Bloods would find out their line is compromised within minutes. Would they? I don't know. I don't control how anonymous tips get handled. But as soon as you get an email telling you there might be criminal communications occurring at a random frequency, you tuned into it right away? Believe it or not, I'm a little concerned about criminal communications these days. Having seen my partner murdered by an orca right in front of me. Barely 24 hours before the nearly getting shot myself. Back up. You saw the moment of your partner's death? That's news to the court. You know what I mean. Your Honor, the tip was submitted to the frequency. The tip was submitted and the frequency was spread through the police department network. Likely because the Blue Bloods believed it to be compromised, having already been used at a scene where 4 of their members died. Officer Rogers may have the receiver app on his phone, but so do many other police officers in the city. The app doesn't provide timestamps of when frequencies are added. So there's no proof of when his phone first started listening for the frequency. Neither he nor his partner were members of the Organized Crimes Unit. Therefore, they had no criminal informants on their own. and they could not have obtained this frequency before the rest of the department. Oh my god, this is... Holy shit! I just noticed the time. They could have not obtained this frequency before the rest of the department. Since the defense cannot prove that this signal was acquired illegitimately, I never said I couldn't prove that. For your consideration, the scrap of paper found on the second floor. The frequency could have been found on it before the red ink degraded. Even if that was somehow true, which it isn't, what would it matter if the officers acquired the frequency after arriving at the scene? That makes sense. Can tell if you want. Creek's datapad? They could have pulled the frequency off a file hidden on it. Even if it wasn't somehow true, which it isn't, it wouldn't matter if the officers... Oh, right. Okay. Can tell. Can't be the gun. All those pages, all that text, the frequency could have been hidden on any line. Oh my god, I don't know how it's the gun. I guess the game will now tell me. The gun, what of it? Not just any gun, a Mag US, legally registered to Unker Time. And how do I know that? Oh, it's because, you're right, he got frisked, or... You're right, god, that was such a long time ago that we got that information. I had no fucking, that was not even in my brain at all. Because the gun was identified and scanned over a week ago, when Tanks was briefly detained by some well-meaning officers on patrol. That report. Officers TC and HR reported to the following: subject in possession of firearm in violation of parole, and subject in possession of suspicious communication software installed on personal phone. He wrote all of that in the report? You and your partner found the emergency frequency for Creek's pod over a week ago by skimming Tanks' phone. Almost like you have 5 days in between. Yeah. And sat on it until last night when you kindly dropped it off in the tip box. The hell are you even saying? Why would we frisk a perp, get good intel, and keep it to ourselves? For the same reason your partner might write a report. A report generic shots heard over the police network when he already knew exactly where to look. The same reason he'd be ecstatic at finding documents on Prop 492 at the site of an orca bloodbath. You wanted your gold stars. You wanted to be the first at the scene at the site of a blue blood massacre. Okay. Whoops. As much as I want to do this immediately, we cannot. We have to save this for tomorrow. Yep. Thank you all very much for joining me here. I really appreciate you coming here to hang out with me. We will be back in tomorrow to continue this game. Hope you've been having a good time tonight. If you happen to be new here and you enjoyed hanging out with us here tonight, if you think I deserve a follow or a subscribe, I'd appreciate that quite a bit. We stream 3 times a week for approximately 2 hours. And this stream will be re-uploaded to YouTube tomorrow night, where we'll join every single stream I've ever done. So if there are any you want to catch up on, you can find all of them there. Link is in the About section. And yeah, I can't really dawdle and small talk because it's way too fucking overtime. So thank you all very much for being here. I appreciate your support in every capacity. I hope you have a good afternoon, evening, morning, etc. And I will see you all again tomorrow with more of the devil. Ciao!